Hello YouTube, this is Hunter Surge of the Brawler Cafe. Let's get into Pyrus. At long last, we are getting into the main character faction, and we can start right off. Thanks to him being right here at the start, we can just get right into the big guy. I've been wanting to talk about this guy for a while. I contemplated for a bit, just doing a video talking about why this guy is not broken, because there's been a lot of people going, oh, Dragonoid's pretty broken. I've seen Kodok, TCG, but some other people talking about him in this way, and he's really not. You have to be really unfamiliar with the card pool. Parts of the card pool I haven't really gone into because I haven't started talking about the actual cards that make up your deck, besides the Evo cards. But regardless, let's get into this. Okay, so Drago's character card. He's 205, Flaming Fist. Those aren't great stats, of course. We've gone over this in the past. Like low B power, 200 is really bad. It makes up for it though. But you have to keep in mind that this is a really bad stat line, and its core types do not help remedy it at all, because its core types both are focused on giving more damage. Now, this does synergize very heavily with Pyrus's cards that will change the victor condition to being determined by the highest damage rating. But without those cards, Drago is kind of really weak. Now, his Diamond evolution isn't great. It's one of the better Diamond evolutions, to be honest, but 6 cost is just too high. That's prohibitive from being really realistic to use, so it's not a real card. Yeah. 1414 damage on a Flaming Fist is actually really solid, but like 6 is just way too late to be coming out. Yeah. Alright. So our first real level card is Hyper Dragonoid, 1 cost. So we get, so from these 1 costs, you can come to expect like, a boost of around like 4 total in stats. So we get 3 total stat boost, and then we get this really strong Flaming Fist ability that gives us an additional plus 300 and plus 3 damage. So this only brings us up to 709 total. That's pretty solid, but nothing amazing. Nothing that's going to be really great throughout the game. This does have very high synergy with Victor Condition altering cards, as even more so than base Drago, because like on a Flaming Fist, 9 damage plus whatever you get from the Flaming Fist, that damage is going to be very high. But you're going to have trouble winning battles in other ways. It's very easy for that to be beaten over, because at tops you're getting 1k. Yeah. So yeah, but let's get into the big boy, Titan Dragonoid. So this is the first Bakugan Elite we're talking about that isn't complete trash. So 5 costs. This is on the edge of unplayability from being too high costed, but Titan Dragonoid is strong enough that we can look past that. So Titan Dragonoid is 1000 B power. 6 damage, and it has natural double strike, which means the damage it deals will be doubled. This isn't great for winning with Might of Cindius. However, you will be doing a lot of damage. You're going to be doing like 12 damage minimum with this, which is going to be huge. And if you control Dan Kuzo, plus 2000 B power. So that's obviously very big. That's 3000 B power, absolutely massive. So what's the problem? What makes this not OP? Because 3000 B isn't something that you can get over really easily. Well, for one, this is a combo that requires 2 specific cards, one that you play on turn 4 and one that you play on turn 5. But that's not the big problem with it. The big problem with it is everyone has access to hero removal. If you're carrying any Ventus, any Darkus, or any Aquas on your team, you have an out to heroes. A 2 cost or 3 cost out in the case of Aquas, but most teams should have a Ventus or a Darkus on their team. And if they have one of those on their team, they have a 2 cost out to Dan. If Dan is on the field, Titan Dragonoid is extremely overcosted. And like they need to get a 1 card out, you need to get a 2 card combo. In addition, you're typically going to be giving up your turn 4 because your turn 4 is now, well, your turn 4 is spent putting down Dan, and the the top card of your deck isn't necessarily going to be something that's going to be able to win you that battle. And then, of course, you've got to deal with the fact that you have this really, really weak Pyrus Dragonoid Drago on your team that just has really low stats. In Ventus, there are even more outs to this. You have a card like Cocoon Shield, which can just knock Titan Dragonoid down to 1,000 B power. So like buff from Dan Kuzo doesn't even exist. Just delete it out of existence. In Chaos, if you get one turn later into the game, or if they excel themselves at all, they can just drop a wax on you, nuke that Drago, get right off the board. There's just a whole lot of outs to this that you have to keep in mind that really keep this combo in check. And like really, since like anyone with Ventus, like heroes are going to be such a prevalent force because they are really strong. A lot of them are really strong, especially ones like Dan and Winton, that you're basically going to want to be squeezing in those 2-cost removal cards in any deck that has access to them. Unless you're a super fast deck, in which case they're not really going to get the chance to get the Drago anyways. So this means that that Drago really needs a special dedicated deck to it, because you can't just splash this into something because, well, you're going to end up giving up your turn 4 and boom. And if you're not dedicated to, if your deck isn't dedicated to getting this combo off, this 2-card specific combo, then you have this Drago on your team as deadweight, and if either of the combo pieces disappears to damage or whatever, then, well, you're really screwed. So you really need a deck that revolves around Drago to really make this work. Regardless, it is still extremely powerful. 3000 B power, 6 damage with double strike is nothing to shrug off, but this is not overpowered by any stretch of the imagination. Next up, we have Pyrus Fangzor. Now, we don't start off with that great of a stat line, only 401, but it does come with double fist, and its ability on the fist is get +1 damage and double strike. Now, this is a Bakugan that I have personally tried to make work a lot, but its low B power at 400 is really, really hard to work with, especially since to make it really work, you want to be running a lot of fists, and fists aren't great at providing B power bonuses. So it can be really, really hard to actually win battles with the Pyrus Fangzor. And so that can really, really drag your team down. But the natural double strike is really strong. It has a Diamond Evo, 6 cost, 1206, really, really bad for its cost. And its main Evo is Titan Fangzor, which only comes out a turn earlier at 5 cost. And it's 803 and gets +2 damage and double strike on a fist. 800 B power at 5 cost is really, really bad, especially when like this thing is already going to be really struggling with B power. So like that's not the sort of B power that you really want to be seeing, and that's really bad for it. Unfortunately, I don't think it's really possible to make Pyrus Fangzor work. Natural double strike is still something very powerful, and I wouldn't be surprised if someone was able to do something with it, but Pyrus Bakugan is often going to be a very big liability thanks to that 400 B power and wanting to be on a fist team. Alright, next up, let's talk Pyrus Hydrus Core. So Pyrus Hydrus Core is one of the only Bakugan with a magic shield, so it's worth noting for that property, and it does have 400 B power, which isn't awful, but it is still going to drag you down quite significantly. And since magic shields are going to be typically going to be going on a team with Chaos Nilius, who already has 300 B power, we do not want more low B power Bakugan on that team if we can at all help it. If we can help it at all, we want to avoid that. So that's not a fantastic start. And its evolution really does not help remedy this. It doesn't come out until turn 3, and it's only 800 B power. Not quite what we want to be seeing. When you play an action on this, it gets +2 damage, but like Pyrus doesn't really help facilitate that. Neither does the other attribute you'll be wanting on a magic shield team, Chaos Nilius. So like this doesn't really fit into the uses that we would really want for Pyrus Hydrus, so it just kind of flops. Moving on to the Ultra variant, we have this good old 305 stat line that I'm getting really sick of seeing. Core lineup isn't anything special, Shield and Helix, so let's move into evolutions. So, Hyper Hydrus Ultra is basically Hyper Nilius Ultra, but worse in every way. It has the same stat line with no core type abilities, and yeah, like that's not a great start. Only go up to like only going up to 600 on a 2-cost Evo is not what we want to be seeing. And that trend continues with Titan Hydrus Ultra. So 6 cost is at the point where the cost of the Evo becomes very, very prohibitive, and we only end up going up to 700 B power. Now, I like its effect a lot. Victor destroying an enemy energy card is a very interesting effect. Energy destruction is obviously very, very powerful, but this is this 6 cost on 700 B power. That's just not gonna work. Yeah, especially when we're starting on a B power this low. Like, that's going to be a hindrance to our team all the way to the end, and it's not worth that ability. If you want that sort of effect or action card style, just do it straight up. Way better than this ever will. Alright, Pyrus MAXOTAUR Ultra. Let's get into things right. Let's just get right into things here. So, its evolution is not great. 3 cost, 805 when it already starts at 602. Not a great upgrade. 3 costs, way too much. However, Pyrus MAXOTAUR Ultra is a Bakugan I would consider, just for the fact that this is the highest base form B power on a Pyrus Bakugan. It also has a double fist, which is nice for a specific type of team. Just basically that base 600 is something that you're not getting anywhere else in Pyrus. The closest you're getting is Trox, and with Trox you're getting an even worse evolution, if you can believe it. So you know, this is really the best you're getting as far as like base high B power. So it is worth considering for that alone, and it might have a place in fist decks because your other things can handle the high B power. But then again, you kind of need to be able to win with all of your Bakugan, so you know, it is kind of a bit of a problem. So yeah, worth considering just for that 600 B power, and it has a double fist to complement a fist team potentially. But its evolution, very, very bad. Like, very, very bad cost for gains. Like, that does not work out well. That's not very good. Much like Irelis, we are extremely understated right from the get-go here with 104. Let's get into the character card. So, Flaming Fist and Fist, so much like Drago, we are not getting cores that are going to help deal with our main detriment in the character card. And while it does have a core type ability, that only increases damage. It doesn't fix at all this hugely detrimental 100 B power. And like, there are way better Bakugan when it comes to abusing the outwin conditions. Like, this only has 4 base damage. That's not what we want to be seeing for that sort of deck. So this is like not really great for that. There are way better Bakugan for this. Like, the stat total is so far below the standard that like it's just, and that abysmally low B power is just like super killer on its potential. And then its evolution does not come out until turn 4. It does fix the B power problem, bringing it up to 900. But the thing is, when it's coming out at turn 4, and we have to deal with a 100 B power Bakugan, that's not great. Like, it does have the potential to be big damage of 14 on a Flaming Fist. So that's kind of cool, I guess, but not worth the 100 B power. That's not worth that detriment. Now, we've had to go over a lot of really bad Bakugan in Pyrus. So let's get into something really great. Serpenteze Ultra. So, 305 stat line. This is an amazing stat line, but we've seen some good Bakugan come out of this stat line before. It comes with Flaming Fist and Fist, which doesn't help deal with the low B power. However, if we want to be running outwin condition, as that is what Pyrus has been very much geared towards. We have not been getting great B powers out of these Bakugan. That is good for that. So let's get into the Evo. Hyper Serpenteze Ultra is an absolute monster. 2 costs, it goes up to 507, which is a pretty standard increase for a 2-cost Evo. Plus 200 B, plus 2 damage, pretty standard amount. But then we get into the Fury ability. So, Fury is an ability type that needs some really powerful stuff to really work. But it really fits in well with like a super aggressive playstyle that burns through all of the cards in its hand, like low cost stuff, and then just gets a bonus. Just gets a bonus out of that. And Hyper Serpentine Ultra is the reason to build towards that. So, Fury ability is when you have no cards in hand, plus 5 damage, plus 1000 B power. This is 1500 B power, 12 damage. This is monstrous. This is like one of those things that's like really, really tough to bring down. And it's just getting that for free on top of any bonuses from actions that were played on it to get it down, get yourself down to that 0 hand. This synergizes extremely well with Aquos, because Aquos has a card called Strata, which will ensure that you're not playing off of only one card each turn, you're playing off of multiple cards each turn. However, in addition to that, Aquos also has the Flow keyword, which naturally, and a bunch of low-cost cards beyond that. So naturally, Aquos will play very well with a deck that wants to burn through as much of its hand as possible, as fast as possible. So there's just very, very high synergy here. And of course, Hyper Serpentine Ultra, Serpentine Ultra in general, is great for those Outwind condition decks, because those are an extremely aggressive playstyle. Serpentine Ultra comes with very high damage, comes with Fist Cores, which are what you want in that sort of deck. Base damage of 5 evolves into base damage of 7. Fury ability is online, it's now base damage of 12. Very, very hard for opponents to beat over. And when you're not with that condition, you can just burn through your hand and have a 1500B Behemoth. It's really, really good. Really fantastic Bakugan. One of my favorites. Like, this is probably my favorite Bakugan in Pyrus. It's just very, very powerful. And lastly, we have Trox. So, Pyrus Trox's base form comes at us with an interesting ability. It comes with Shield and Helix, so not great core lineup, but 501, which is an okay passable stat line, and it has the Victor ability to get an additional energy. So you cheat a temporary energy into play that will only last until end of turn. Then you can use it to play cards, get things on the field. Its Evo is not fantastic. Basically just a small upgrade, plus 100B, plus 1 damage, and its Victor ability becomes plus 2 energy instead at 2 costs. So this is not great. I think Trox is something that has decent potential, but it's really brought down by Hyper Trox being so weak of an evolution. Yeah, I think there's a potential deck to be made just basing around getting a bunch of cheating energy into play. Ideally to start getting ease into play and start getting a free 3 energy every turn. That's something that I think has a lot of potential. But for now, this Evo, I don't really think that the Starve deck can really get there. But yeah, there's something there, I think. But the potential of such a deck is really brought down because Hyper Trox is a really bad evolution. And like normal Trox has like this fine base stat line. Like there's nothing wrong with this base character card. It's just that there's nothing to help it survive through the length of the game because its Evo is super bad. So yeah. For Pyrus as a whole, Pyrus is not a fantastic faction for Bakugan quality. For quality Bakugan, we basically have Drago if you're building around Titan Drago, and Serpentine Ultra if you're building around Serpentine Ultra. Very much these two Bakugan are some of the most powerful in the game, if I'm perfectly honest, but you very much need to be building around them because they have a lot of obvious weaknesses that can very easily be exploited. NTONOID Ultra is of course also worth noting because Pyrus has some very powerful cards, and it's the highest base B power thing here. Like, if we go back through this, so we have Drago, Fangzor, Pyrus Ultra, NTONOID, MAXOTAUR, Serpentines. So we barely even have anything with 400 B power like, the B powers you will find in Pyrus right now are very, very low. So if you want something more generic out of Pyrus, I think MAXOTAUR Ultra is the sort of thing that you basically have to go with, because you're not getting much out of them otherwise. Which is unfortunate, because Pyrus has some really powerful cards that we'll be going into in a later video. But like, it's hard to really just splash them into a deck. You'll often be hurting your deck in a lot of ways, and MAXOTAUR Ultra might be one of the best ways to splash right now. It's a bit unfortunate, but that just might be the way it is right now. With that said, though, next time we will be diving. Oh, I still have the trucks on screen. Next time we will be diving into Ventus, the last batch of Bakugan, before we dive into the actual cards. So with that said, this is Hunter Surge signing off.